This video today is going to be an instructional video on how to exactly use the system set up here. It's for training purposes for people that do milking for me. However, there's something you may be able to get out of it, an idea that you could incorporate in your system, unless you want to set it up just like mine. Let's get to it. First we turn on the water heater, and then we turn on the water to this hose. The reason I turn it off is because I've come in here and have this hose popped and have water going. Okay? We uncover the vacuum pump. This has sanitizer in it from the last milking. I'm just distributing the sanitizer around one more time before emptying it out. These are all the hoses. They are full of sanitizer to keep the system nice and clean. Keep anything from growing in the hoses. I slosh it around. I drain it out. I have to tilt this T on here so that the sanitizer comes out of all the hoses or both the hoses. I've got to push down on the lid, make sure the air hose is nice and tight. Plug it into the vacuum pump. Cover this so the flies stay out. And make sure it's plugged in. And we'll let the dogs in. All right, girls. That's not your side. This is your side. Girls need to behave. It is a sanitizer, and I use the sanitizer to clean them up, sanitize all the hair. This is a no rinse sanitizer. We have a video on this on how to make it and explaining all about it. I wipe them all off. What I did is I squirt out a little bit of milk. They have a fat module in the end of their teeth that you have to kind of like unplugging the drain. And you can also look at the milk, make sure you don't have anything wrong with your girls, and turn the machine on. Here we go. Because the machine is so loud, let me tell you what's going on here. These teacups on this system work whether 1, 2, 3, or all 4 are connected. So you just push them up against the teat and they suck, hands off. If by chance they don't grip, there's a button at the bottom you can push and it will suction onto the teats. This sweet goat here, Sasha, has very odd shaped teats and they point straight to the back. So above me, actually above her, there is a dog collar that is hanging from the ceiling. And I use this to wrap around the hoses and I can adjust the height of the hoses so that they're the right angle so that they milk properly. You can see how far backwards her teats face. Now I'm locking the leash so that the hoses are actually hanging above the stanchion. Now I'm giving them something to eat because that's what they come in for, their treats. You can see Marsha stomping her feet there. Okay, Now we're going. What I'm going to do is I'm going to check these hoses. There's a clear plastic spot on the bottom of each teacup, and there's a Y connector there I'm pointing to that are clear plastic, and that's where you can see where the milk is coming through. The hoses are white, so you need to look at those spots to make sure the milk is really flowing. If not, you can squeeze the teats to increase it a little bit. There you go. I'm squeezing them and squeezing them. Now I got the flow going, and everything is all good.
Back on the ages, were you there to turn the pages? Were you running your own race? Do you fear social attack? Friends will stab you in the back. Do you meet them face to face? You only get so many chances. Give your second glances. This may be the last one you have left. You only get so many choices.
Because I'm milking 7 goats, I'm going to have more milk than one bucket can contain. Each of these buckets contain 2.5 or just slightly more gallons of milk. I turn the machine off. I swap the cover for the lid, secure the lid back on, make sure I've got enough pressure, tightness in the milking jug, turn the machine on, and reconnect the girls. They're a little antsy because they have run out of their sweet grain. So I'm going to give them another snack so they behave. Them distracted.
Drive real fast too. There's a fence that you crashed your truck through. See a fatal, be glad it's not you. Same old shit happens every day. Always happens the same old way. Another wreck, another life went down the drain.
We're going to prepare the milk jugs for filling. I'm pulling the caps out. I'm putting 5 to 6 squirts of the sanitizer into each of the jugs. I'm also putting a small squirt into each cap. The sanitizer will soak into the part of the cap that seals the jug. I just want sanitizer everywhere. Now if you push down, so I push down with my thumb there, you can take the cap back off. If you put that cap on and twist it, you cannot reuse it. So it's just a snap on, and then you can pop it back off. When it's full of milk, you twist it tight, and it's a one-use cap. I shake them vigorously to make sure the entire inside of the milk jug is coated, and it needs to sit for about 30 seconds, up to 2 minutes, to completely sanitize the inside of the jug. Now I'm pouring out the sanitizer out of each jug. I'm keeping my eye on the girls that are on the stanchion because I want to make sure that the teacups are still contracting and that they're connected and everything's good. This is where I keep my filter. It's a screen that's used for getting all the tiny particles out of the bottom of a bottle of red wine. It's the best for doing milk filtering. It's completely reusable. Now I'm pouring it in. I'm holding that funnel up above the neck of the bottle because if it's sitting on the bottle, you're going to get an airlock and you can't get the milk to go down. All you have to do is put a finger there to space it and you're fine. You need to be able to see the neck of the bottle, the milk jug, while you're filling so you don't overfill. Now this one's full. Nope, not full yet. Let me put some more in there. All right, so I'm going to swap the funnel over to the new bottle, but put a cap on the old bottle because this barn is outdoors and there are flies. And basically repeat. And I've got my eye on the level of the milk in the jug. This jug is fairly heavy. If you're short, you can put the milk jug down into the sink. I happen to be very tall, so I can do this on the sideboard of the sink. Add a little more. And same thing, put a cap on, put the funnel in the next bottle, make sure that the sanitizer's all out. And there you go. Oops. There you go. Fill the next one. I switched arms. My right arm was tired. This is very heavy. And fill all the way up. Now there is a little ledge in the milk jug, so you have to shake it a little, get that off. And all good. Put that cap on. Oh, that's the cover that I use for my funnel. Now, glass and metal needs to be rinsed first in cold water because you need to get the milk fat off the surface before you do any kind of cleaning. It's a very hot day. I had to wait a long time for the water to get cold. And once it's cold, you rinse it out. You're not scrubbing, cleaning, disinfecting, sanitizing. What you're doing is you're getting the milk fat off the surface of the milk jug. And this is going to go through a cleaning system, which will be soon. All right, empty the water out, put the lid on, put it down next to the sink.
Turn my pessimistic views to see ahead. I've got more to do before the day that I am dead. Reach up for my pills, there's got to be a way. Help me get through this to live another day. 'Cause everyone's life out there is short-term as my own. I've checked every map and road, nowhere to my home. If anyone out there can hear me singing now, won't you help me ease the pain? There's no way out, there's no way down.
Now the last girl is done. It's important to drain the milk out of the lines. So I'm holding them all the way up and pushing the button at the bottom so that the vacuum pump is sucking all the milk down into the milk jug. I'm done with the grain barrel, the iodine, so I put those away. I'm taking the sanitizer and doing a very fine mist on the lid. And I'm going to swap the lid, there you go, with the hose lid. I'm going to spray the sanitizer on the inside because it's going to be a few minutes and I don't want the milk solids to harden on it. I'm also spraying on the hoses because I just spray sanitizer everywhere. Now I'm moving over to finish the bottling. Of course, empty the sanitizer out of the bottles. Just shaking them vigorously to make sure that everything's coated and the last is poured out. So those are the first milk jugs that I filled from the first batch. Oops. Have to resanitize that. And I'm just sloshing around again, trying to make sure everything's clean and ready to go. So this is very full and very heavy. I'm going to try to show you the best angle of how to do this. And again, I'm just lifting the funnel off of the milk jug so there's no airlock. And making sure the sanitizer is out. Putting the funnel in and let's, oh, you know, now that I've filtered this, I want to show you what's going on. It's catching some little fat globules that are in their teats naturally. This is just a fat piece. It's not bad to eat. Because I filter for anything and everything, I catch these. So now I have to be very careful because this is so heavy that I pour at a constant rate. If you're short, you may want to put this milk jug down in the sink. I happen to be very tall, so I can do this up on the counter. And it's kind of rinse and repeat. One jug after another. Making sure to always keep the milk jugs covered when you're not pouring, just for sanitation purposes. Keeping an eye on that bottle as I fill it so I don't overfill it. I didn't want to speed up this part because this is very important to see how this is done. I believe this is 4.5 gallons of milk. There always seems to be a little bit of sanitizer in these bottles as they sit. My arm's getting very tired at this point because it is a lot of weight. Hopefully last one here. As you can see all the crates on the wall in front of me, they're actually wine boxes, wooden wine boxes. I use those as shelves. I call that my dashboard. It has everything I need in arm's reach. Keeps me well organized. I know where everything is. So now this is a little foamy because of the heat. It's really hot this day. So I'm going to shake out the last of it. once I push the caps on everything, what I want to do is I want to get them into these buckets, and I need to get this milk into the refrigerator quickly. So I can put one bucket in there. The other bucket's not going to fit. So I need to slide these jugs in next to it. What I want to do is keep this nice and cold while I clean up everything. It's really a hot day. So I want to clean this with cold water, but because it's hot, the water in the pipes is really hot, so I have to wait a second till the water cools down, and then I can rinse the milk fat off the stainless steel with cold water. This is where I keep my funnel. It's actually a shot glass that I set it in. I happen to have a 1-cup measure where the handle fell off, which actually fits as a perfect cover, and then it just sits in the sanitizer up there and covered. So I'm using the cold water to rinse all the milk fats off the wall of the milking jug. Cover it and set it right down on the floor. Now we're going to clean the system. Because the fan in the background is so loud, I'm going to voice over all this portion. So I'm going to lift the lid in my right hand and the teacups in my left hand, hook them on the edge of the sink, and take that lid and put it on one of the clean milk buckets. Push it tight, make sure everything's tight and sealed, the air hoses are good, and then get the hot water bucket ready, because we're going to clean everything in hot soapy water. We want to clean hot soapy water, and then we want to disinfect with the bleach, and then we want to sanitize with the sanitizer. So let's fill with hot water. I gotta wait a second for the water's hot. Little Dawn dish soap in the bucket. I'm going to turn the machine on. All these teacups are going to be dipped into that hot soapy water. Now, some of my hoses are a little dirty, so what I'm going to do is that hose sprayer I have, I'm going to use to clean everything off, and then put them back in the hot soapy water, slosh them around. Now it's time to push the buttons at the end of the teacups. I want to do this at a fairly good speed. You can push the buttons, stop the buttons, push the buttons, because I need the fastness of the speed of the hoses filling to make sure all the milk particles are out. Suck up everything into the bucket, the hot water. I'm going to rinse this soapy suds out and then set this bucket aside. It's time for the bleach water. Bleach has to be put in cold water, otherwise it's not as effective. So I'm going to dip these teacups fully into the bleach water. Now, this water has been sitting since the last milking, and with the heat, we just add another splash of bleach. Bleach evaporates quickly in the heat. So I'll dunk them all fully into the cold bleach water. Then I'm going to hit the buttons and fill the tubes, and wait a second, because I need this to set under pressure so that any of the bleach, so all the bleach solution can get into any cracks and crevices. I'm not going to suck up all the bleach water. Oh, my hose was pinched. Got to make sure those hoses are straight. And put a little more bleach water in there. I'm going to go to the sanitizer, but I will turn the cold water on to put some more water in the bucket. Do the same thing, full dunk in the sanitizer, and then now what I'm doing is I'm filling the hoses. Turning the machine off, disconnecting the hose. I'm making sure that I have a mark where I know my bucket needs to be filled. The handle leaves a shadow, which is not showing up on the video, on exactly how fill the bucket needs to be. And now I want another splash of bleach so that they set in bleach all night. I'm cleaning the countertop now because everything needs to be clean and sanitized when I'm done. I'm just starting the cleaning process. Now, the side that I'm on, I'm going to use my right hand to pick up the lid and my left hand to pick up the hoses, because I need to put these hoses up into that bleach water, and I need to hook the lid onto the side of the sink. There you go. I want the hose that has the liquid hose, not the air hose, to be on the high side so that the sanitizer doesn't drain out. Because I'm using 2 buckets, I need to take half that cleaning solution, pour it into the other bucket, and then go to the sink. My sink is slow draining, but I still plug it with a rag just so that I have enough solution in the sink. I'm cleaning the inside of this bucket round and round into all the cracks, the crevices, everything. I want to clean the inside and the outside, although the outside's not that important. I just like it to look nice and clean. I'm scrubbing the milking lid there, and you have to get into all the areas where the hoses either suck the air out or the milk is put into the jug. I wipe that rubber area, which is why I get black marks on my pretty yellow towels. It's no big deal. It's just stains them. I'm rinsing in hot water here, trying to get everything out. And the bucket's all clean. I lay a rag underneath it so I don't scrape my stainless steel table, because I'm going to spin this bucket while I put sanitizer in it. Can't use too much sanitizer. I spray the lid also. Then I take a rag and I wipe it all nice and clean so it doesn't leave any water droplets, stains on my stainless steel. Now, time for the second bucket. Basically the same thing. Doing the exact same thing, cleaning really well. I like everything to be really nice and shiny and clean. I'm going to take that hot water now and spray it into that lid to get the soap residue off. And do the same thing to the second bucket that I did the first bucket. I just turn it real quick, slosh it around, make sure all the suds are out, rinse everything off, and wipe that bucket too. The sanitizer is going to sit in these buckets, which is in the first part of the video. When I open the buckets, you can see that I drain out the last milking's sanitizer. You need to watch the video on the sanitizer that we did a few years ago. All right, now I'm going to fill these hoses with sanitizer. I'm out of enough sanitizer to fill the hoses, so of course I grab my bucket full of sanitizer. It's a 1 gallon pickle jar full of sanitizer, and fill my spray bottle back up. I go through a lot of this. I make it 5 gallons at a time. So now my funnel has been re-sanitized. What I'm doing now is I'm going to spray into the milking tube. And how I'm holding that, you can tell that I'm tilting it one way so that the sanitizer is going into one of the tubes, into 2 of the teacups. And then once I see the bubbles, or the air's come out and the hose is full, I tilt it the other way and fill the other side. It's great, the best thing to leave your hoses full of sanitizer. Nothing can grow in there because of the pH level. I'm turning all the hoses to one side. I'm going to use these yellow towels to cover the one half and then the other half. These have been in the cleaning solution. I put this extra tea towel over it just to make sure the flies can't crawl up in any cracks or crevices. And I continue cleaning because I want all my stainless steel wiped down very clean. Now, that's all done. Let's shut everything down. I cover the vacuum pump just to keep the dust off. That bucket is where the teacups were hanging while I was milking. It has some sanitizer in it. Cover the sanitizer bucket. Check everything. I'm going to turn the hot water heater off, and there's a valve to turn the hose off. Alright, so I'm pulling the milk out here because now it's been enough time that the foamy bubbles have settled. So I'm going to look at the jugs, and you can tell the level is now probably an inch, if not 2 inches below because of all the foam. So I'm pouring one of them into the others to fill them up. Because I never know which jugs are going to be frozen, I have to be careful to leave a space at the top. So I'm very careful to fill them up exactly to 1/2 gallon and not any more. It leaves the neck empty because it expands when you freeze it. So once I get all these full, and it does take a minute or two, but because it's been in the refrigerator, everything is settled. The hotter the day is, it seems the foamier the milk is. In the winter, I never have this problem. But I don't want to tighten the lids down until I'm sure that I've got the bottles really at the proper level. Sometimes tapping on it, I feel like, is breaking the bubbles. So this is going to be just shy of 4 gallons. I use these buckets to carry the milk in because it fits 2 gallons and it makes it easier to take it to the commercial refrigerator. I do leave the milk for 3 days fresh, and then it has to go to the freezer. Once these caps are all tightened down, I do date my milk. I put the month and the date, month and the day on each cap because the amount of milk that I deal with on a daily basis, I don't want to keep track of how I was rotating it. It's all marked. So that's why I'm using a Sharpie on the lid. I've never had a problem with this fading, even if the milk's been stored in the freezer for a couple of months. The refrigerator in the barn is just to keep it cool while I'm working in the barn. Okay, so everything's ready to go.